Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Eric, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make an Italian salami that comes from the city of Cremona with a slight little twist. The salami is often served with a slice of bread and some nice cheese, and so I thought, why don't we just put the cheese in it? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add Parmigiano Reggiano to this incredible Italian Cremona salami. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is prepare our mold culture. We're going to be applying mold 600 or Penicillium nalgiavense to our salami. And although this is technically optional, because we're going to be hanging our fermented salami in a drying environment for a couple of months, random molds are going to grow on it. So by applying this, we're choosing which mold we want to grow, and Penicillium nalgiavense is quite beneficial. So we're just going to prepare that a couple hours ahead of time, set it to the side, and as that's rehydrating, we're going to get all of our ingredients together. The first ingredient is the cheese. We're going to be adding Parmigiano Reggiano to this salami. This is a go-to cheese for charcuterie platters and will pair perfectly with the slightly sweet fermented flavors of the Cremona salami. So we're just going to cut this into small pieces. Once we're finished with that, we're going to go ahead and take that, set it to the side, and get the rest of our ingredients together. Our next ingredient is pork back fat. We're going to be adding about 30% fat to this salami. If you have a hard time getting pork back fat, you can always use fatty pork shoulder, but the end result should be about 70% lean pork to 30% fat. Okay, now we need to cut our pork, and everything's just going to get cut into small chunks or small strips to fit into your grinder, and you definitely want to place it into the freezer for about 45 minutes before you grind it. Making sure your meat is properly chilled before you grind it is one of the most important steps when making sausage or salami. And once you're done grinding, this is what it should look like. We did ours on a 4.5mm plate. So we're going to place that back in the freezer as we prepare the rest of our ingredients. This is a fermented sausage, and so we're going to be adding a bacterial culture called Flavor of Italy. This starter culture is incredible for salami making. It has bacteria that develops the color, the aroma, and the flavor, and at the same time acidifying your salami by lowering the pH through lactic acid production. If you're an experienced salami maker and you know how to naturally ferment your salami, that's definitely an option, but the chance of failure is a lot higher and the results are often unpredictable. So we're going to be using a starter culture for guaranteed results, and we're just going to let that rehydrate for about 30 minutes and set it to the side. In addition to the starter culture, we need a sausage casing. Now you could use whatever casing you want. The size of the casing is going to determine how long it takes to dry. So we're using 61mm protein line casings from the sausage maker, and we're just going to let that rehydrate for 15 to 20 minutes in some lukewarm water. Okay, all of our ingredients are now ready. Our meat has been re-chilled, our starter culture has been rehydrated, and we have our casings ready to go. So we're just going to put this in a KitchenAid stand mixer, and how you mix it is completely up to you. As far as seasonings go, this is a very simple salami. We're adding salt, pepper, and some garlic. We're also adding telecherry peppercorn with some dextrose. That dextrose is going to help feed our starter culture during fermentation. And as this is mixing, we're going to slowly start to incorporate our starter culture. At this point, our bacteria has woken up and it's ready to start fermenting. So once you add the starter culture to your meat, you don't want to stop. You want to continue the process and put it into its casing so it can begin fermenting. Mixing your meat is the second most important step when making sausage or salami, and you don't want to overmix it. So as soon as you have a nice tacky mince that sticks to your hand when you turn it upside down, you know it's ready to move on to the next step. And for us, the next step is adding the cheese. We're just going to add our beautiful cheese to this salami mince, and we're just going to mix it in there really well. You do want to make sure that you mix it pretty good because we want the cheese and the meat to kind of adhere to each other. This is going to give us a better bind when we slice our salami after it's totally done. And now it's time to put our salami into its casing. The difference between salami making and sausage making is that during this particular step for salami making, you want to stuff it as tightly as possible, which is where the synthetic casings come in handy. So make sure you stuff your salami meat as tight as you can, and whatever's left over in the hopper, we're just going to place that in some saran wrap. This little bit of mincemeat right here is what we're going to use to test the pH of our salami once it's finished fermenting. So in some cling film, we're just going to set that to the side. We're going to go ahead and prick our salami, focusing on any air pockets that might have formed. And once we're done, we can go ahead and start fermenting the salami. Fermenting the salami isn't complicated. It just simply means to put your salami in an environment where the bacteria will thrive. Every starter culture is slightly different, but this particular culture, Flavor of Italy, the one we're using, requires that you ferment your salami for 18 to 24 hours It's 75 Fahrenheit to 85 Fahrenheit with at least an 85% or higher humidity. For me, that just means leaving it on my kitchen counter because my kitchen's pretty warm, and wrapping it in cling film is going to keep that humidity pretty high. If you'd like to see me make a video for different options for fermenting your salami, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So after about 20 hours of fermenting, we're going to now test the pH. What we're looking for is a pH of anything between 4.9 and about 5.2. If your meat's been properly fermented, the texture is going to be drastically different. It's going to feel more bound together rather than loose ground meat. And to test the pH, we're going to be using a pocket meter from a pair of instruments, an absolute must-have if you're going to be making salami. It takes all the guesswork out of it, and you can also use it for other things, which you'll see in future videos. So check out the link in the description box below if you want some information on that. As we test our salami, it looks like our pH is coming in at about 5.03, 5.02, absolutely perfect. It's now time to take our salami, weigh it, record the weight, and then go ahead and apply that mold culture. So when I record the weight, I'm actually recording the green weight, which is the actual weight. That's the A. And then the target weight is what I'm shooting for. A salami is ready when it loses about 35 to 40% of its weight. The last thing I'm going to do is apply that mold 600 culture that we prepared at the very beginning of this video. Like I said, this is optional, but if you don't apply it, you will have all kinds of really wild mold growing on it, and that might not be very good. So we're going to place this in a drying environment where it's going to start to slowly dry, and this is made possible by the balance between a dehumidifier and a humidifier. And if you'd like to see how we built this drying chamber, I'll post a link to that video at the end of this one. So close the door, and we're going to let that hang out in there. The temperature is 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to maintain an average of 85% relative humidity, and we're going to let it dry till it loses 35 to 40% weight. The more weight it loses, the firmer or harder your salami is going to be. The less weight it loses, the softer it's going to be. So that's a personal preference, but it's ready between technically 30% and 40%. I let my salami dry to 40% weight loss, and with a 61 millimeter casing, that took roughly 2 months. Now, your results may vary because every chamber is different, but this is what your salami should look like. It should be covered in that beneficial mold. It should also be evenly firm throughout. There should be no soft spots. So let's go ahead and remove the casing and give it a slice and see what it tastes like. The moment of truth has finally come. What does it taste like? The color looks great. The cheese looks like it's bound together well. When I give it a tug, it holds together well, so the texture is spot on. Let's taste it. Oh, wow. That's wonderful. This is like an all-in-one salami. The Cremona salami is amazing by itself, slightly sweet with a uniquely fermented flavor on the tongue, but the addition of the Parmigiano Reggiano to this salami brings all of that flavor, and it's absolutely out of control. I hope you get a chance to make it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and if you're new to sausage making or salami making, be sure to subscribe to this channel. We've got a lot of videos that's going to make your journey a whole lot easier. If you like this video or got anything out of it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it. We post new videos each week. We'll see you in the next one.